Zach, so second time we've been in this situation this season where 14 points down in the fourth quarter, Baylor comes back and wins. Crazy. Like how many times did you and I look at each other and just like shake our heads going like, really?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, this team never boring. That's for
Never
sure.
boring.
I mean, I think there were multiple times I certainly counted them out,
Mm.
and I don't know. I somehow, some way, defense gets a stop when it needs to. Sawyer and that they Jacob Redding gets an interception when he needs to. Like it just like it had to happen this way.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard to explain.
I call them zombie bears in my column. You know, but I was a little critical too
Right.
because, and you say they're never boring. Actually, sometimes they are boring for like three quarters, and
Right.
then they make it interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, they have so much to clean up. You saw the glimpses of a good team in the last 6, 8 minutes of the game, but why don't we see more of that?
Like, why does it take until the fourth quarter
Right. Why
for
does it
them
take
to
desperation mode
right?
to turn them on?
It's that's just baffling because it seems like I think there was a little bit of complimentary football in the first half,
Okay.
but it's
Remind me.
it's just like um what was it? I think there were three straight drives where the defense got to stop. On two of
Yes,
those
that's
drives,
true.
the offense then I think it was a Sawyer-Robertson interception and then a Bryson-Washington fumble. But then on that third drive, they put it together and we went into the break tied.
Hmm.
But then that third quarter, like you mentioned, it takes them a little bit to get going because then Kansas State just kind of ran the same playbook as they did at the beginning of the game in the third quarter, just slowing down the clock and kind of taking over the game. And Baylor was out of it, like
Yeah, yeah.
out of it. And yeah, it like you said, desperation. I don't know why. Why does it take desperation for them to get to where they are? That's the $1 million question. If Dave-Aranda can figure that out during the bye week,
Mm,
this team, I mean, the sky is still the limit.
mm.
As much as I kind of don't believe myself when I say that.
Right. And yeah, because here's the thing. I think I'm going to pick TCU. Like
Yeah,
I've been the optimist and you've been the pessimist, and now
right.
we're flipping back to our old roles because, uh, like they're still going to have to show me something
Right.
more defensively.
And I
You
don't know.
did bring up the three straight stops in the first half, and that's a good point because I had kind of forgotten about those
Mhm.
through a lot of badness along the way. But yeah, that was a moment where the defense was doing its job and the offense wasn't.
Right.
So it was we've had that sort of parting of the ways all season where one's going one way and the other's going the other way, ships passing in the night. But they put it together when it mattered and they got a win. So
And I can't help but think back to like the feeling in Ames last year. That was they I think they played better than maybe the score. They lost that game in
mm,
Ames,
mm.
and they played better than maybe the score would lead you to believe. But then they went into the bye week, and we all know what happened after that bye week. They go to Texas Tech and they run off 6 wins to end the year. And so I don't know if this is the kind of game and this is the kind of thing that maybe this team is a little bit different than last year because I think there's definitely more talent on this team than there was a season ago. But
Yeah.
I think there is potential for this team to run off some wins. Again, as we switch roles once again.
Well, I was saying that, a week ago or whatever, like that I still thought they could win out,
Right. Right.
and I'm not actually necessarily backing off of that. Is that potential there? Sure. But they're gonna have to show me more than potential because I just don't think these kind of games are
Oh
sustainable.
no, not
They've
at
they've
all.
won two of them, sure. But this is the way I phrased it in my column. I said the margin of between winning and losing in these kind of Big 12 games is so small. I said it's the length of Cooper-Lanz's fingers. That's how small
Right.
it is.
Right.
Because let me tell you, we're having a much different kind of podcast right now if that kick goes, if he doesn't block that kick and it goes through. Now we can't assume that he would have made it, but nevertheless, like it's a much different feeling, and then all the areas that are the negative things kind of get magnified.
Right. I mean, you really, I don't know. It's like I turned to you a couple times during that third quarter, even early in the fourth quarter, and I was like, man, the vibes they just feel different today. Like you kind of, if Baylor was gonna make a move with their head coach Dave-Aranda, today kind of felt like a loss that maybe would have done that, and some of the glaring issues that were again, rearing their ugly heads were happening again, and it's just like uh, Baylor kind of got bailed out in many ways by a pick six and a blocked field goal. And
and
I don't know where they go from here.
And it was a very lifeless crowd most of the game. Here's what I'm gonna say, like, because I don't know where to go on this, because on the one hand, I think the last couple turnouts have been pathetic for Baylor, completely pathetic. There was far more empty seats than there needed to be at both of those games, and then you get like 3/4 of pretty flat, uninspiring football, and I go, dude, I can't blame and after the game, Sawyer's doing his press conference, sitting there with Josh Cameron, and somebody asked him about the fans, and he praised them up. They made a huge difference, and he said something in there that I thought was very interesting, where he said, well, one thing he said was the ones who stayed, and I thought that was telling. It's not like these guys don't recognize that the place is half empty.
Right.
But he also said something like, even my own mom says, she says these 11 o'clock kickoffs, it's hot out, and so do I get it? Sure, I get it. Do you want to sit in the sun at 11 o'clock and watch uninspiring football? But here's what I'm going to say, Baylor fans. Like, you owe it to Josh Cameron and Sawyer-Robertson and Keaton Thomas and these guys to show up in the next home game, which I think is UCF. It's a while.
Homecoming.
Yeah. You owe it to those guys because you've only got so much of Sawyer-Robertson left.
Right.
And that dude is as Baylor as it gets. Yeah. He's the real deal. And, he's still, I think, in the Heisman race.
Oh, yeah.
And this team isn't dead, and they don't, they make things fun in the fourth quarter. And so show up. Gosh dang it.
Put your feelings for the head coach's side.
Right.
I understand how maybe Dave is not the rah-rah,
sure, right.
Kenny Dillingham, Joey McGuire kind of guy that's going to be out there saying all this stuff. But like Sawyer is, Josh is, Keaton certainly is.
Yeah. Not like they don't have some of those kind of personalities.
Correct.
Yeah. And again, like we said, they're not dead yet. They're still in this thing. I mean, so it will be very interesting to see where they go from here, because I do feel like the bye week was a turning point last season. Right. We'll see if it is again.
I just I feel there are so many similarities for me in last year. But there's also differences because, like I said before, I just think this team is way more talented, and I think that
so loaded at receiver.
Yeah.
They've got a freaking human mismatch at tight end.
Right.
I love Bryson-Washington. I think he's a beast, and even banged up today, he still had a big impact.
And even defensively, I think we've seen plenty of Jacob Redding. I think he's an elite safety, and we know Keaton Thomas. I think Marion Winston and Matthew Fobbs White are going to keep coming off I think
secondary's kind of been the strength. The front seven has been sort of the iffy part, and
injured.
Yeah, no question. And obviously losing Travion was not Phoenix. Sure. Those were big blows. It was bad when they lost Jackie Marshall for a minute, he's back, but yeah, I like I said, the defense still has to show me something. Like, they're doing it in spurts, They need to do it in games.
I'm trying my hardest not to be too like reactionary in this moment because again, like I said,
because I think you and I see a bigger picture where you can go hot take,
right.
but we can see the good, we can see the bad, even whether it's a win or a loss.
Right. I mean, there was a time in that third quarter where I was going to ask like dave-aranda, like, do you feel safe? And I don't want one pick six and one blocked field goal to say he's good for the rest of the season, but I kind of feel that way. So it's like I can't think that.
See, and I mean, I would go a little bit different on that too. This is where we sometimes vary, but like if Baylor ends up 8-4, sure, that's not where they wanted to be, but I don't think you fire Dave-Aranda after an 8-4 season. You would want some changes again, but boy, we've seen a lot of that, where they change coordinators, they change Dave calling plays or whatever, they do a lot of different things. But again, like I don't think you can fire a guy after an 8-4 season. Right. So 6-6, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. They're sitting here at 4-2 now, and so there's still a lot of potential.
A lot of potential. But we've been saying that for 6 weeks now.
Right, but you'd rather say it if you're Baylor after a win.
True. Ugly wins are still wins.
Ugly wins are still wins, and man, they just found a way. Yeah. They just found a way, and the comebacks are incredible. They really are. So
I don't know how many how the blood pressure of Baylor fans are. Right?
Well, let me tell a little story because it was funny. Zach was there with me as we were going down the elevator to the post-game press conference. The Livingstones were in the elevator. I think this particular older lady was in their party. I don't know that maybe it was the Livingstone, one of their mothers. I don't know. I don't know her identity, but this older lady was in the elevator, and another lady beside her said, you picked an exciting game to go to. And she goes, too exciting. And I think that's the feeling of a lot of Baylor fans. Like, what are you doing to me? Like, I can't keep going through these kind of games. And of course, I asked Sawyer and Josh a question to that end. Like, how do your hearts survive these kind of things? And they laugh and they admit that it's it can be a little nerve-wracking, but at the same time, they pulled it out. So, all is well.
If dave-aranda had hair, I'm sure it would be great.
Exactly. All right. So bye week.
Yep.
And then we're off to TCU. Let's go get some hamburgers at Kincaid's.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
You put me onto that place, and
yes, baby.
It's good stuff.
Yep. All right. See ya.